Joined today on the channel a fellow political prisoner, a very, very dangerous individual who was sticking stickers on things, which is obviously an extraordinarily serious crime that definitely deserved a whole boatload of prison time. Is Sam Melia? How you doing, Sam?
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing great. Yeah, I had a crazy day with the kids. They've been going off the rails today, so glad to have them in bed and settle down now.
You got them in bed at 8 o'clock? Like fucking hell, that's lucky. Oh, man,
Yeah,
like I
they're still
mean,
quite young.
oh yeah, well, mine, and they're usually still bouncing around at like 11 o'clock at night and stuff like that, man. But yeah, man. So it's just I just wanted to know because I covered your story sort of as it was developing, but I didn't really get a chance to speak to you because you'd pretty much kind of been huckled at that
Mm.
point. But if you could just sort of give your side as to how the stickering campaign started, why it started, and then basically what happened when the police started sniffing around you.
Yeah, back in the kind of early 2010s, I'd been kind of bouncing around looking for some political movement to kind of join and get involved with, and nothing had really taken my fancy in the UK. And then I think it was just prior when Trump announced, and there was a kind of wave of censorship online. People losing YouTube accounts, Twitter accounts, Facebook, all this kind of thing. And I thought that really, I mean, they might shut us completely down, and then we'd just never have any opportunity to get this stuff out. So I thought I'd try and take it to the streets. And I was looking around me, seeing what was available, and I mean, where I live, Leeds, like the city centre's covered in stickers for every political group, and I mean, maybe mainly communist ones. But it's like it seemed like that was an acceptable form of protest of propagandizing. So I set about creating a archive of stickers, along with the methodology as well, because I knew, obviously being right wing, that there might be some nefarious actors looking to steer it down a bad path. So I made sure that every sticker was numbered. Once it was created and published, it never changed, and there was always a hard copy to refer back to, which would later serve me when I'd end up in court. And it was all entirely anonymous as well. I designed the stickers, I put them out, but anyone could download them, and then they would print them on their own printer. It used a simple label printer, um, and they'd get them out that way. Started with 30 stickers, and we carried on right up until like kind of late 2020, at which point we had 300 plus stickers, in about 7 different languages, and they'd popped up across America, Australia, across Europe, and a hell of a lot in Britain as well. And it wasn't until I think that late 2020, Hope Not Hate kind of exposed me. And at that point, I mean, it was clearly me. I think there'd been a few things.
Yeah.
I'd started work with Patriotic Alternative at that point, so I was face out, as it were.
Yeah.
And I've got quite a distinctive stutter, so it's like I'd done a few podcasts as the Hundred Handers and everything, and then I think I did. Was it the Absolute State of Britain? And Laura was clearly in the background of one of the shows, and it's like the
Yeah,
Absolute State of Britain guys were like, "Hang on, is that you, Sam?" And I was like, "Hey!" but yeah, it's like once the exposure happened, I kind of waited a few weeks on kind of bated breath, thinking like, if the arrest is coming, it's going to be now, and nothing happened. And then it wasn't until 6 months later that I was just on my way to work, and turned around in the at the post office, and police officer slapped cuffs on me, took me outside, and they said they were going to
followed
do
you
me
in.
for.
They followed you into the
Pardon?
police. They followed you into the post office.
Yeah, yeah. It turns out they'd been observing me for a little while prior to the arrest as well, because they gained access to a garage that wasn't even attached to the property, wasn't owned by me, but I'd entered. And I was trying to think of the last time I'd been, and it's like for them to know that one of the keys on my key ring is for a garage elsewhere. It's like you must have been following me for a while.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were casing you. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a complete surprise, and they originally charged me with 3 charges: distribution of material meant to incite racial hatred, and then there was possession of terrorist material and something to do with like international funding of terrorism as well. And those other two, I was kind of like bit of a reach, but okay. And
Yeah.
they took me down the station, but they took my keys, let themselves into our house, and plainclothes police officers burst into my wife's bedroom while she was still in bed, And being plain clothes, she thought she was just about to get attacked because they hadn't announced themselves as police coming up the stairs or anything like that. So that was
Yeah.
really her first kind of, whoa, hey, jumped out of bed and everything. They're like, oh, it's all right with the police. And it's like, Jesus. And we'd only just found out she was pregnant with our first child as well. So we were really worried about a miscarriage for a few weeks after that.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, and they took me for questioning, 4 hours of questioning, no comment through it all and everything. But it was
Good.
it was all kind of to establish that I was this head of the hundred handers, which I would have thought would be kind of obvious at this point.
For the
But
terrorism, the sticking stickers around. Yeah.
yeah, well, the
Yeah.
terrorism thing they dropped really quick. I think just as I got into the room, they started down that path, and an officer came in the room and actually we're dropping those two latitude
I can tell you
charges.
why they did that. I can tell you why they did that. See how you were surveilled, monitored, followed, and stuff
Mm.
like that. In order for the police to get any kind of warrant to like do that, there needs to be terrorism charges on there. So what they'll do
Oh
is
yeah.
they'll make a bunch of crap up and go, "Oh, he's totally a
Hmm.
terrorist." So now we have the basically the terrorism bill powers over this guy. And then as soon as they've got you and got the things you need, they can go, "Oh, it turns out that was a nothing burgers, but we're still going to charge them with the other stuff." It's a trick that they do. They make up terrorism bullshit because
Oh
it gives
god,
them
yeah, yeah.
far more powers to come after you.
Yeah. When
Yeah,
they go to when do they go to that magistrate looking for that warrant? They have to have something there, and especially to
yeah,
find out who I was the conclusion of like two years of counterterrorism investigation. So it's like they've got to have something to show for it, you
yeah,
know. So,
yeah,
but then yeah, after that questioning, they didn't drop charges on me right then. They released me pending investigation, and that continued for 2 years. At which point we started harassing them to basically, it's like, can we have our stuff back? Because they'd taken every electronic device in the house, everything,
yeah.
including like a PlayStation. Quite what I would be doing with that, I have no idea. But we started pushing them for that, and then eventually they came by with the actual charges, and the sergeant involved looked a bit more sheepish than he did when he was first questioning me. And it was just the distribution of material meant to incite racial hatred, but they'd also tacked on the encouraging racially aggravated criminal damage for the stickers actually appearing on public street furniture. And this was something I've never heard of stickers being prosecuted as criminal damage, but apparently I'm the
Yeah,
first. But then they didn't even have any evidence of me putting them up, so it became encouraging because I was posting pictures of them online, which was obviously propagating them.
yeah.
And we had a trial set for a year after that.
So was it? How long was the entire investigation where you were sitting there on bail, like waiting to hear what was happening? Was it 2, 3 years?
3 years, yeah, 3 years. It was. I know when I got free on 1st of March this year, I was talking to Laura, and we were saying it's like God, like almost as long as we've been together, this has loomed over us in some fashion, and it was such a relief to come March 1st, be like that's all behind me now. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, it was just like, but post the arrest, I think my political activity must have jumped, 3, 4 fold. That's when we started doing the demonstrations outside, what's it,
yeah.
migrant hotels, drag queen story hour, all that kind of stuff. So we were intent on basically sticking a finger in their eye after they thought they'd shut us down.
Yeah, it's the Streisand effect. It's the
Yeah.
same thing happened with me, and then the same things happened with you in PA. Like the more and more press that you get, it just turns the average person, like makes them aware of you, and then people might
Hmm.
come knocking and want to join, or they want to know more about your case. Or most people who are looking at your case are probably thinking that's just so fucked up that
Oh
this
yeah.
man's getting arrested and jailed for like stickering. And especially
Mm.
under like I've spoken to a few people who've some of them have got pending charges with inciting racial hatred, and I've spoken about this for a very long time. Where it's they keep laws like that very vague on
Oh god,
purpose.
yeah.
So in court, it can mean whatever they need it to mean in the moment. There's
Yeah,
no
when you look at
yeah
the wording of it, it's like, oh, it can be insulting, and it's like, Jesus, what are we doing here? Like, it's
yeah
like, oh, that's enough. But
that's
yeah, it's.
basically any and all criticism of any race, group,
Hmm.
ethnicity is shut down. You can't criticize them at all because that could
No.
be inciting racial hatred against them. Even
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
yeah,
it's become very apparent over the decades since the kind of Public Order Act came into force that it's like that law is purely there to prevent white people from advocating for themselves, and that's
yeah,
what I'd ask the authorities when they were, talking to me while I was out on license. Was it's like You seem very worried I'm going to reoffend. However, is there a way to advocate for myself and my people without falling foul of this law? And they couldn't present an alternative. So it's kind of like, well, I mean, I've got to do it. So it's like this, you know, we might be back here in a few years' time. Hopefully not, but you never know.
Well, the way to get around that, by the way, because like, see, since Nazi Pug, I've made much worse jokes. I've made much. I've said the N word and the K word and everything on stage. Like, I've done so much worse stuff since then. But see, when the police basically lose a lot of face over the initial charge and everything, because basically, no matter what way they put it, the police looked fucking horrendous with everything that they did to you, like coming after you, the charge, all the stuff that they put you through and everything like that. They looked really, really bad. And then afterwards, basically, if you become much more of a face, much more of a figure and everything, the more and more you get out there and you become like a sort of a larger character in the wider range of things, it makes them a little bit more tentative about going after you.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be they try and nip it in the bud before people gain too much of an audience, but then it constantly comes back on them, and it's like, oh crap, it's happened again. And it's like, you at some point you'd be expected to learn. Like, come on.
I want to know, has there ever been a police officer or someone from counter-terrorism that's put his hand up and went, maybe we should stop this shit because it's having like the opposite effect of what we want.
I imagine most of the counter-terror officers are just like taking the piss out of the guys who are going after the stickers and the Facebook posts and everything like that. They're doing like proper Mission Impossible, diffusing bombs and everything like that. And then there's some nerd over in the corner who's like, I've got some more posts. And they're like, all right, Jeeves, carry on, mate. It's like, Jesus.
I know, that was the thing is, like, I don't really hear much about them going after Islamic terror gangs or the terrorists or anything these days. Like, sometimes you hear about the occasional one that they've thwarted, but it's sort of like that type of stuff where it's like, oh, we found someone who was building nail bombs. Yeah, okay, that's the type of stuff I can see counter-terrorism police doing.
Yeah.
But then it's like,
we got every time we see...
Well,
it's like every time we see one of these things, it's always people known to them who slips through. You know, it's like this guy who's just done a attack down in Derby. And it's like, guarantee you he'll be known to them. And it's like,
he was on our radar, as the phrase.
Yeah. It's like there's a big list.
Yeah.
But you know what their Star Wars names are like? They're right at the bottom of the list. You know, we go alphabetically, so Arthur's getting it first.
Yeah. No, but it's just, honestly, I don't understand. I've had a theory for a while that that's a theory that I've played with for a wee while, but I think an extremely right-wing future is coming, and the police are actually fully aware that this stuff has the opposite effect.
Oh, they're all secretly our guys.
A lot of them are. I've had many a police officer, like, kind of... I had to deal with the police, like, recently for a completely unrelated thing to politics, and one of the officers kind of had a little look over his shoulder, and he was like, I'm a really big fan, by the way. I really like what you do. And I was like, thanks, man. I've even seen that back when I was like working with Tommy Robinson. I had police officers who were like looking over their shoulder and saying that they really liked him and stuff like that. And then Tommy said, thanks very much. And then he gave them a great big bag of shekels. I'm not sure what that meant. But basically, a lot of the police are sort of on side, and I've worked with a lot of people that have been arrested under like speech laws and things like that. And they usually send two officers, and there's one officer who's there totally gung-ho, totally, hyped to be arresting the person, and the other officer just doesn't want to fucking be there. And it's sort of like, this is bullshit. I signed up to catch murderers and rapists. Why the fuck am I here? Wasting my time with this type of shit. But basically, once you've had your initial interview, like during the 2-3 year wait to actually go to trial, was there any more visits with the police? Did you ever have to sit down with basically the social work criminal department and do an interview? Because I had to do that.
No, it was purely released under investigation. And I don't know if that's mainly because I was so politically active. Maybe they thought that there's no point trying to get a dissuader on this guy. Maybe they saw you as a soft target. They're like, yeah, we can get this guy. We'll turn him. And clearly not. But yeah, there was no further contact. There was literally nothing for 2 years, and then obviously it was the lead up to the trial. So at that point, they'd already pulled the trigger. So I don't think there was any point trying to prevent me. At that point, it was we were on our way. But I mean, it didn't seem like they fancied the chances much at the trial. When I first saw the police coming in, they looked positively ill, and yeah, we really thought like at best it's going to be a hung jury, but probably not guilty. These kind of speech trials, I think someone said it's like 31% of juries convict, so you've got a decent chance. And I thought, I put so much work into the 100-handers to ensure it fell within legal bounds and everything, and then
Yeah.
the prosecution's opening statement was just like, yeah, they're legal, but just disregard whether they're true. He's a racist, so going down, and enough of the jury bit on that, which was the real shame.
Yeah, especially because racist is like the worst thing that you could possibly be in the modern age. When
Yeah, it's like a trigger word,
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, it's pretty fucking fun. But
yeah, we're definitely having more fun.
Yeah, I feel like people will call you racist. No one will call you miserable.
No. I think there was like 2 points they were playing, like clips from podcasts that I was on and everything. And I was just like, it's like, God, we were having fun there. And then like personal messages and everything like that. And I was like, oh yeah, that was a good one. And it's
like,
oh no,
during the deposition, looking through old pictures. It's like, here's me and Mark. Here's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but so during the trial, I was going to ask you about the prosecutor, because prosecutors just go fucking ham. They do the biggest reaches. They say just utter bullshit that's just not true, and there's no evidence for it. And the judge just goes, yeah, and like eats that stuff up. Did you have a similar thing? My prosecutor during my trial said that I wanted to gas football stadiums full of people. Like, genuinely, that's something he said.
But they're open air. It's like he's not very bright either.
Your Honor, that wouldn't work. I've tried. Like,
yeah. Fucking hell. Oh man. Yeah. They were constantly reaching to the point where we even had like an expert witness from some university who was like a witness expert on the far right for the last 100 years or whatever. And I mean, he was going way out there, like the most innocuous stickers being like, this is actually a reference to Hegel and Kant, or some other right-wing philosophers or something like that, who the Nazis also favoured, therefore clearly the link is there.
Hitler also drank water. They made that.
Yes, yeah. We found a bottle of Evian inside his house. Case closed, I think. But yeah, to the point where they just launched into it's like there's razor blades behind the stickers, and it's like, and I was just like, whoa, where's this come from? Or to the point I put my hand up. Yeah, and it's just like a leftist fantasy that they put out there to denigrate and everything. And I put my hand up, and
it's because they do that.
It's that kind of maliciousness that you'd fully expect from them. But I mean, just physically, it's like, how would you hide a razor blade behind a sticker without it just be flopping about, wouldn't it? Because it's not stuck. But yeah, it's the way the British. I mean, I don't know if Scottish trials are the same, but basically the prosecution gets their chance to just lay it all out. In this case, it lasted 4 or 5 days, and then it's your turn to refute all of it. But it feels like the jury's just had all this planted on them, and now you're going to come out and it's very defensive, and obviously you kind of go, it's like, well, that's not right, that's not right. But as far as the jury's concerned, it's like, well, the guy in the wig said so. That's the truth. But I mean, I think we defended fantastically well. And our closing statement was basically, it's like this all fell within legal bounds, and really what you're deciding is whether you think someone should have a right to say something legal that you don't like. And tacitly, the judge seemed almost on side. He closed the jury by doing that quote of you might not agree with what I've got to say, but I'm going to defend to the death your right to say it. And him serving that up to the jury at the very end, I was kind of like, this guy is basically telling them, you've got to go not guilty here. But after 2 days, they came back unanimous. We had a question from the jury at one point where they came back in and they were like, are we supposed to just take the 14 stickers that the police said were the worst, or are we taking all 300 plus? And when they said that, I thought, like, well, that's good, because the majority of the stickers, the vast majority of them, don't make any references to race. So if you're taking all of them in, surely you'd be less likely to convict. But half a day after that, they came back unanimous, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess that didn't work out for me at all. But
or they got the call.
Or they got the call.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. But it's, I mean, you never know with these juries, and I mean, three of them weren't even our countrymen. Like just off the boat from wherever, and
yeah,
then you don't know what's going in people's personal lives where they might take really really personally someone being a racist, and go hell for leather. But frankly, I just don't think there's many white people in this country who are willing to argue with non-whites about a white man's right to say legal things.
yeah.
All the non-white has to go. It's like, I'm offended, and they're going to go, oh, well, if you're offended, then
Oh,
send him down, hang him,
okay,
shoot him round back of the court.
Are you slightly upset? Oh, well, fuck my entire race then, I suppose.
I'll just hang myself right here. Please take my apology.
Yeah, it's like, oh, pardon me, madame. Like, you're self-congratulating like that, man. Oh, is this what it feels like? Like, but like, that is the problem. It's basically to prevent any and all advocacy whatsoever for native rights. That's the thing that annoys me the most, when everybody's going, this is payback for colonialism. And it's like, what? More fucking colonialism? Like, basically, this is bad. And I remember one thing that I said to a girl online, and up here went like, I think she was like, yeah, this is punishment for all the horrible things that you guys did during colonialism. And up here went, and I said something like, well, my great-great-grandchildren are going to give your great-great-grandchildren a hell of a fucking reckoning. Like, and she did not like that statement. And she said, are you threatening me? And I went, what, with the same thing you just said you were doing?
Like, and this is the thing. It's always, all the benefits of migration, everything. But when you drill down, it does just come from just resentment and just like, no, this is to punish you, and we're going to wipe you out because of all the things you did to us and everything. It's like, okay, well, at least we're talking honestly here.
Yeah, that's the argument for the migrant side. So even if you talk to like the liberal leftists that were raised on mummy and daddy's credit cards, see, when you ask them, like, if you actually sit them down and have a chat and say, why do you want migration? Why do you actually want mass migration into the country? And I swear to God, every single argument boils down to two things: food and slaves.
Oh no!
It's literally just that. It's like, oh, what about the wide range of food? And it's like, we're talking about fucking grooming gangs here. Why are you pulling a fucking Piers Morgan and saying I'm pretty happy if children are being raped as long as I have easy access to kebabs? It's not a great argument for them to make. And then the other one is, oh, well, we need people to like wipe old people's arses in the old folks' homes, and we need people to do all the shitty, horrible menial jobs. And it's like, so slaves, basically, wage slaves. Yeah,
and that's the maddening thing, is it feels like the argument's been won in terms of the negatives of migration and why it shouldn't be done, and we're still having them, in 2026, after all the grooming gangs, after the murders, after the terror attacks, we're still having this argument of, it's like, what are they good or not? And it's like, dude, the good arguments, like you say, have boiled down to food and modern slavery. Great.
Yeah.
It's what are we doing here at this point?
We are approaching a stage of collapse, because the problem is everybody here in this country that's using things like the NHS and dentists and schools and all the social services, they've basically paid into the system their entire lives, or they've at least had parents who've paid into the system their entire lives. We now have this like massive influx of people who've never paid taxes in their lives, who are now also using all of the social services. So basically, there's a lot more money going out than there is going in. Eventually, pot becomes empty. You don't need to have a degree in economics to understand that. Anyone can understand that. More money out than in, money gone. Right? So there is going to come like a massive, monstrous collapse one day. And the thing that I think is funniest is everybody thinks that the migrants are going to stick around when that happens. Well, wait, I'm not getting benefits or anything anymore. Fuck this, I'm leaving. And they'll just fuck off to parasitize on the next nation that has stupid welfare systems.
That's why the remigration thing, where it's like no, it doesn't require the kind of ICE style thing over in America. It's like, no, you can literally just reform the welfare system and you'd see millions go. Reform the healthcare system, millions go. It doesn't have to be door to door. It's like literally just stop the handouts.
I love people going like that, remigration, that's so extreme, and it's like, nah, that's the moderate option. The stage at the moment, by the way, like, they're basically like, that's the one thing that I've found amazing is the fact that Rupert Lowe has came out and he is just directly saying things that even Nick Griffin tiptoed around. Nick Griffin even tiptoed and did a little bit of a dance when he got asked about uncomfortable subjects, where Rupert Lowe's just so on it. He's basically becoming like Trump, where he just says what he thinks. Hopefully
Yeah.
he won't be
I feel
exactly
like
but
20, back with the BNP 20, 30 years ago and everything, it's like the impact hadn't quite been seen by so many. But now, literally everyone is seeing it, looking out the window, going to school, going to work, whatever, that it's like when someone like Rupert says it, they go, yeah, we're all thinking it. Whereas back then,
yeah,
they were the worst hit areas, but for the most part, they almost seemed like what is it, not soothsayers, but like they had foresight to it. It's like, here's how it's going to be, and people are like, no way. No, there's like one family in the town who's of
yeah.
migrant background, and now it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's
It's completely
entire
unescapable.
neighbourhoods. Yeah, it's
Mm.
Enoch Powell with his Rivers of Blood speech, like he called it out a very long time
Oh,
ago, and that is the
absolutely
way it's becoming.
vindicated.
Yeah,
There's never, I don't think there's ever been a man more vindicated. Like,
yeah.
it's
He had
just,
his career
it's,
destroyed over that shit, and
I
he was
know.
right. Everything he said became completely true. Where like you
Mm,
can like even the way like the police's you see for example the police's hate crime operational guidance handbook, the way it works as well is it doesn't matter if an actual offence is taking place, is if an offence is perceived, and that's not just by
mm,
the victim. It could be by a bystander, it could be by the arresting officers, it could be by
yeah,
anyone.
yeah.
Like the example that I give, if I walk down the street and I accidentally bang into like a black guy or something like that, and I turn around and I say, "Watch where you're fucking going," which I think is a normal thing to say to someone if they've just banged
Hmm.
into you because they weren't paying attention. If I walk away after that, all it takes is for a bystander or that victim or just anybody who saw it to perceive that I did that from a place of racial
Hmm.
hatred. That's enough for an arrest.
Yeah,
That
which
alone
is
is enough for an
absolutely mad.
arrest. That
Yeah,
is to create the
it's
chilling effect. I think the chilling effect over speech and over advocating for basically native rights or British people or Scottish people or just anyone native to the country is because I think the police knew that even though everyone was prim and proper and didn't really talk about it and didn't really want to point it out lest they get branded by as a racist, um, I think they knew eventually people were going to get fed up and start speaking out and saying, "No, I'm sick of this. I want deportations. I want X, Y, Z." So they were basically doing high profile arrests to make people too scared to say that. It was
yeah,
basically them saying, "We know there's very serious problems that are affecting every single one of you, and we don't want you snitching on us. So basically, we're going to make all of you too terrified to speak out. So we're going to start arresting people. We're going to make sure those arrests get into the papers. We're going to make sure it terrifies everyone and creates this decades-long chilling effect about people speaking up about it. But instead, it's had the opposite effect. It has the opposite
yeah,
effect on the people that have been arrested. The amount of people that I
yeah.
know that have been to prison that I've worked with that have went to like I had one guy. I'm not gonna say the name of the group, but basically, just being a member gets you arrested, like by
Yeah.
Interpol, right? And
There's a
he
few of them, yeah.
yeah, he joined them the moment he got out. The moment he got out, he joined this group. I haven't been in touch with him for a little while. I wonder how he's doing.
He's probably gone away again.
He's probably away for a very long time. Last I heard, he was living in a group house in Austria. That's as much as I'm prepared to say. But
Oh, right, okay.
but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. It doesn't have the same effect that they want. If anything, it's shifting the Overton window so much. Like for example, I mean, like 2018, publicly going on TV or standing up in Parliament and talking about remigration was inconceivable.
Mm.
Inconceivable
Dude,
in 2018.
just 2 years ago, like when I went away, I was having to argue with the prosecution that these rape gangs even existed. And then when I came out, like beginning of last year, it was like, what is it? I think was it what's the name now? I can't remember her name, but she'd released that report and basically said like, yeah, it's happening. Yes, it's primarily Pakistani men, and they've been covering it up. And they had victims on Newsnight and everything like that, and everyone was just referring to them as Pakistani grooming gangs. And I was like, this was something that when I was making the stickers, I knew, calling them that would breach the law. When I went away, it was breaching the law, and then just within a year, they couldn't deny it anymore. So instead, the government had to come out and be like, "Yeah, we've known all along, and we want to address it. We're definitely going to address it. Don't worry about it. It'll be soon." And then never happened. But things have changed massively, and the
Yeah.
remigration thing again, not talked about at all when I went away. Came back on the scene 2 years later, and I mean, I was at a demo on Saturday, and I was going to speak about freedom of speech, and then I watched the 5 speakers ahead of me going up there being like, "Send them all back, string them up," and I'm like, Okay. I guess speech is free now. Like I was like, I felt kind of redundant, to be honest. I was like, oh my god.
Did you feel like Big Red for the Shawshank Redemption, where like the world's changed? What the fuck happened?
Yeah, I've got myself in a whole damn hurry. Find me carving my name in. It's like Sam was redundant. Hang myself.
It's like you come out of prison after being sent away for being an extremist, and now find out that you're an absolute normie level compared to everyone else.
I've been saying, I'm pretty sure I held everyone back while I was out. It's like now the floodgates, like it's like he's gone. Right, we can speak openly now. It's like the narc isn't here.
Fucking hell. Well, well, see when the judge like read down the sentence, you were led away to prison right away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is it? There was once I got guilty, it was a month between that and the sentencing. In which they produced a pre-sentence report, and I was recommended for community service because obviously with family, a job, kids, prison wasn't going to serve me. So they thought community service. So we went in there and really didn't think we'd get time. And then he came out and he was so serious, and I was like, oh no, and he gave that 2 years, and they took me straight down from that point on. And that was pretty intense because it was just like, oh, I realized I hadn't really addressed it as this is going to happen or could even happen until that he hits you with that and you go, oh, wow, that's I really haven't packed enough in my bag for prison. It's like, I haven't even got to change of shoes. Oh, crap.
Yeah. You didn't take a couple of bags of tobacco in with you. That's the trick. You take tobacco in with you because you're allowed to have it.
Do they still have tobacco up in Scottish prisons? It's all vapes now.
I was going to say, it's been a very long time since I've been in, actually. A lot of people don't know. I've already been in twice, but for other shit, a long time ago. Nothing.
No, yeah, it's all vapes now. It's all very clean cut and everything. But yeah, everything's vapes. It's pretty wild when you get in there. I went with a vape pack. You get like either sweets or some vapes to start you off while you're in prison. And even though I don't vape, I do now. But I didn't at the time. But I went with a vape so I could trade because I was warned that was going to be a thing.
Yeah. No, that's a thing in prison. Trade. There's a very, very big economy in there with things that you can trade off. But like when you actually went in, how were you received?
I was really skeptical. I thought I was going to be received badly, but quite the opposite. Everyone I spoke to couldn't believe I was in for something like stickers. I'm in with murderers and domestic abusers and major thieves and everything, and they were just like, "What? Who goes to prison for stickers?" And then when I explained what was on them, they're like, "What? Who goes to prison for stickers with that on them?" And it's like, yeah, I know, but no, everyone I talked to was in full agreement in terms of the country going to hell, the grooming gangs being the worst thing, and then even like ethnic minorities, you just talk to them about Israel. And they'd be like, "Yeah, they're all scumbags," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I know, I had stickers about that as well." So it's kind of like it's like who am I talking to? I guarantee you, over 300 plus stickers, I've hit a topic that you care about and will agree with me on. So it went really well. I became quite popular quite quickly, and generally trying to keep to myself. But there's big wing personalities and everything. I think the only people they treat everyone with aggression was the Albanians, but they just kept to themselves and never spoke English, so you never knew if you were on the right or wrong side of them. Yeah, but I mean, especially they moved me to Hull after a while because I was originally in Leeds, which is a lot more diverse. Hull's a lot more homogenous white, and that prison's like got to be 90+% white people. And as soon as I landed there, it's like the guys on the server were like, it's like, "Oh, you're a legend, mate. Have an extra chicken leg and everything." And I was like, "Oh, brilliant." I mean, I think the only suspicion I came under was because my charges were so bizarre. I was suspected of being like an undercover police officer or prison officer or something. And obviously, looking like I did, they were kind of like, "You don't look strung out on drugs, and you refuse to take drugs, so we're going to suspect you as narc." But there's plenty of contraband phones. So they could quickly Google me, and it's very apparent that if I have got a backstory, it's a very elaborate one that involves multiple protests and years of political work.
Yeah. Plus they can see that you were in fact charged for stickers. Like See if the problem is see if you were a narc in prison, you're going to go in there with something a lot more believable
Oh yeah, yeah. Domestic abuse was like the go to, because you get sex offenders who opt to go into general population instead of the specific sex offender wing. I guess because they think they're better than other sex offenders, and they'd always be like, "Oh, it's domestic abuse charge. It is. They get a bit uppity or whatever. You got to lamp them and everything." And then people get suspicious, and someone Googles the name, and it's like, "Oh, you're in for a charge of aggravated rape." And it's like, and they usually, if they get a chance, they skip the wing pretty quick after that, but not always.
I've seen a few people get bagged up and like rolled out, and and I've like, the true nature of their charges like comes out, and but like sometimes there was like really fun. Sometimes you get a really funny one. There was a guy who I was in with, and his nickname was Sleepy for like seven dwarves, and it was because he did a ram raid on a shop by himself. He used to do it with his friends. Nobody wanted to come with him this night, so he went, "Oh fuck it, I'll just do it all by myself." So he basically stole a car and just rammed it, crashed it right into the shop. But he hit a support pillar inside the shop, so his head smashed off the steering wheel. And when the police turned up, he was like knocked out, just lying asleep. That's how he got caught.
Silly bastard.
Yeah, he was my cellmate, and when he told me his story, I was just kind of like, "Sorry, man, but you're a fucking idiot. Why were you doing that?"
I was in with the guy who was in. He was on a domestic charge, and his story, or like what the woman's story was of what he'd done, was basically like he'd broken into a house. They'd been in a relationship previously, and then like at 3 a.m. he'd kicked in her door and demanded that she wax his ass, and like that was matter of record and everything. And I was just like, I was reading through his paper and I was like, dude, no jury is gonna believe this. Like you know what I mean? It's like, and then you snuck out or like she drove you to your car, which was like around the corner the next morning, and she admits to that as well. And I'm like, this is no, and it did just get laughed out of court, thankfully. He was a good guy, but yeah, there are just some wild stories in there and some wild people as well.
That's the key. If you want to get away with domestic abuse, do something ridiculous while you're doing it.
yeah. beat her half to death and then just start waxing your own genitals. People are like, there's no way he did this.
He's not getting the jury to buy this one.
I'm gonna pull my own teeth out. Like, whoa.
Fucking hell. Oh, so they had an easy time when you were in there. Yeah,
and then officers as well. Similar with the police.
There was a bit of concern about the Muslim prison gangs. There was a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think they're as prevalent up north. I think down south they're a real issue. And then I do think I was moved from Leeds because the Muslim contingent on my wing in Leeds was growing to the point where they were like singing the call to prayer through the prison door at like 9 p.m. and everything. And it's like everyone was starting to feel it's like they're getting quite big now. So I think they probably moved me out because obviously they knew the coverage of my case and people knew of me and everything. If something was to happen to me, then that would obviously look very bad on them. So moved me to Hull, which further from family, but in terms of the people there and everything, I got along great, fantastically. And same with the officers as well. Like you say, a lot of sympathetic politics going on, a lot of ex-military guys who would look out for me and do us favors, getting us jobs and everything. So relatively easy time inside. And to be honest, by the end of it, I was kind of disturbed at how comfortable I was in prison. Like I had my routine, I had my stuff, had my friends. We were basically running the wing, and I was like, I can see how it could be easy to do a lot of time here and not want to come out and go back to regular life.
You do feel kind of shy having to say goodbye to people, especially when you know the guy, like one of the guys that you're talking to, he's got like another 12 years. And then you're like, bye, because you were only in for like a month. Like, bye.
Pleasure knowing you. Get in touch when you're out.
I'll be fucking hell.
Yeah, that is really rough. And you just like, it's like, I want to be happy, but at the same time, don't want to rub it in.
Yeah. I think a lot of the lifers don't like it when you bring it up. They don't like it when you bring up that you're getting out. They get a little bit annoyed about that, so you just kind of don't talk about that in front of them. But I know that when you were in prison, there was an issue where they stopped you from seeing your family and seeing your child.
Yeah, with that transfer over to Leeds and Hull, they delivered something. I think it's called a PPRC, some public protection thing. But basically, because of the nature of the political nature of my crime, they were going to cut contact with my kids because of fears over me indoctrinating them. Quite how you'd indoctrinate like a 2 and a newborn, I'm not sure. Can't read, can't even speak for the most part.
I don't know.
But...
I did it with a dog. Same thing.
True, yeah. Fair enough. All right, I'll edit that from the book. Actually, it's a fair cop.
No, but I do kind of know the thing that you're talking about, because when I was arrested for the Nazi pug thing, my mum and dad did foster care, and they had sat me down and had a chat with me, and they were going, "Are you discussing politics with the kids?" And I was like, He's 9. Am I supposed to discuss, Miesian economics of the Austrian school with a 9-year-old? Like, what insightful conversations am I supposed to have with the other one's 6? What are we going to chat about? And are we going to talk about, the fucking histories of Rhodesia or something? like that's the thing. Yeah. And it's always funny.
They just want to read Spot the Dog again, but he just keeps insisting upon Mein Kampf. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's like Mein Kampf followed by the Hungry Caterpillar, and I'm like, yeah, but that's the thing. Is always funny is they're like, are you going to indoctrinate your kids? Because that's our job. We're going to send them to the classroom with the great big LGBT flag in the corner, and the teacher with the funny coloured hair and funnier gender.
Speaking with probation, and it's like, he's going, it's like, well, your views are, could potentially harm them, and we live in a multicultural society now and everything. And I was like, it's like, well, do you want me to trans them? Would that make you happy? Would you feel secure then that they're going to fit in now? It's madness. But yeah, they cut me off for, it ended up being 2 months. But basically it's an ultimatum. It's like, either you can not sign it and not allow social services to assess your family, and you'll never see your kids for the rest of the duration, or you're going to go through a social services report. And it was like, right, then I guess we've been shanghaied into it. So yeah, we went through it, and it took two months. But during that time, my wife couldn't talk to me about my kids. I couldn't receive she'd been sending regular kind of updates to the things they were doing. I wasn't allowed any of that. They took the pictures of my kids from my cell. It's just, and it feels like it's never...
Hold on, what's that got to do with it? Why did they take the pictures of your kids out your cell?
Because it's the same form that like anyone gets. So it's like the nonce, you're getting the same treatment as the guy who's literally a child predator with these things. Whether you're a domestic abuser, child predator, or in my case, a political prisoner, it's like you're going to get the same treatment where it's like you can't have anything to do with kids around you. And it's like, oh my...
That is fucking horrendous. You weren't even allowed your pictures of your children.
Yeah. And it's like for 2 months, and that felt like finally like real prison, because prior to that I've been getting kind of weekly visits with the kids and everything. I mean, one of them, I missed the birth of my kid, and she was 2 months old when they did this. And it's like, just for 2 months, I had no idea how she was doing. Laura couldn't tell me about her or anything like that. Obviously, she could come to the visits and talk about them. They couldn't stop that. But it was really, really rough. And going through the social services assessment as well, it's like, for your political views, you're going to be treated like you're an unfit parent, which is a complete...
Well, because you want to protect them?
Jam. Yeah. Because it's like, all right, I want a positive future for them. It's like, no, you should endanger them at every possibility and everything. It's like, I think probably our kids are going to be the safest kids on the block as it goes. But eventually, I think a ton of pressure was put on the prison. Laura and my dad kind of started like a mailing campaign and everything like that, to the point where the prison eventually went, it's like, all right, we're relaxing it. Just please, can you stop people calling and emailing and sending us letters and everything? It's like, all right, cool. But yeah, there was no kind of apology or anything like that. It was just kind of like, all right, we've gone through it. And at the end of my license, they tried to subject us to another social services investigation. And that was purely based on politics again. And it was, Laura's fantastic. She managed to argue them back, instead of doing like a full assessment, to basically do a welfare check to make sure the kids aren't, living in their own shit and everything like that. So they only came by for 5 minutes. But still, it's like you tried it, and I've included the emails in the book at the back of the book as well. And you can see
Good.
it's like they're literally
Yeah.
copy and pasting from Wikipedia, and it's like, well, it says you're a neo-Nazi here, so you've got to go through an assessment. And my probation officer as well, just just an absolute shit lib, and just dead set on making my life hell. So that was his kind of like final jab at us after 2 years, was to put us through. But I mean, that'll be the third one we've been subjected to now. First one, we didn't even have a kid. Laura's pregnant, and we got a letter through saying like we need to do an assessment, and we're like, oh, we haven't even got kids yet, so don't worry about that. Next letter came through. Either you let us do an assessment on you, or we're going to take the child away at birth. And I was like,
holy fucking shit!
What? And it's like, and then they came by, and it's like, what the hell? And they're like, yeah, we do that. So talk to us about your politics and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my god. So yeah, they've hopefully that's the last time we have to deal with them. But you never know with schools and the way they're trained to report on kids and everything. That it's like all it takes is the wrong thing said by your child, and all of a sudden the school's reporting that they've been indoctrinated and they're extremists in waiting.
See, that's I've always thought about that with like my kids. If I get called up to the school, where I'm just going to have to try and keep a straight face, where like she said, what? To be honest, I don't think it was that many either. But
it's like, I mean, if you don't want to hear the truth, don't try teaching lies. I mean, I don't know what you do.
Somebody was still afterwards. I mean.
No, do you want to see the blueprints? I've got them here.
Oh, but that's the thing that I think's funny is like they're talking about, oh, we're worried that you're going to radicalize your children. Do you know what's definitely going to radicalize them? When one day they ask, why wasn't Daddy at my birth? Well, that is definitely going to do it. That's what I mean is these things that they're doing just basically wake more people up. That's the thing that's really, really weird. Like everyone they send to prison comes out 100 times worse. People are seeing the stuff that they're doing and they're immediately having complete distrust for the police, the institutions, and just absolutely everybody else. It's having the opposite effect. And everyone's
they haven't got another tool in the toolbox. That's the thing. And it's like even prevent is just completely useless, unable to turn around, all but the most like schizophrenic head case or whatever. But it's like in terms of rational people who have just investigated this stuff themselves, read enough about it, prevent's not going to offer them anything. So it literally is just a hammer that they're going to hit every nail with. And don't be surprised when it doesn't work. It's called the smiling nod. Like that's what anybody that I advise. Oh, I'm at university and I'm going to be surrounded by blah blah blah. Like I'm going to have leftists all the time. What am I supposed to do when they talk about politics? And I just say smile and nod. Smile and nod, get your degree, get the fuck out of there. If I went, and I also say, don't have group chats. Because whenever I get an email going, Dankula, I'm in a lot of trouble, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I already know how this story's going to go. We had a group chat with a bunch of friends and then a bunch of memes get posted in there. And then one of the guys got really mad and snitched on everyone. And I'm like, I've had literally dozens and dozens of emails like that. So basically smile and nod and also no group chats. Unless you know everyone is absolutely on the level. Someone's going to freak out on you and write you out.
No, but it's just that is a horrendous, disgusting thing to put you through, though. Like that's genuinely disgraceful. Like that's I don't understand this whole like. What about like ravenous left wing parents, like the people that are going up and like gluing their hands to concrete or sitting in front of traffic on bloody motorways and everything? Did they? This person's obviously a little bit unhinged. Maybe we should look into their children. I bet you none of them got any kind of investigations.
Oh God, no! I mean, it's. I mean, there's no way for social services to critique someone who's like aggressively transing their kids, regardless of whether the child actually wants to do it.
Even though that is child abuse. That is child abuse. Yeah.
I mean, we protested a number of these drag queens story hours, and you'd see the parents who are bringing their kids to it, and it's like you just think it's like that kid hasn't got a chance. You've got two dyed hair lesbian parents, and it's like surprisingly enough, their son that has decided that he's trans or whatever, and it's like. There's no way. It's like for two parents to have two trans kids, come on.
Yep.
Come on, it's like
Yeah.
what are we like? Law of averages. It's like, oh, these lesbian couples, gay couples. It's like they're always got trans kids. It's so weird, you know. It's like no, there's clearly some coercion going on here.
Oh, there absolutely
Um,
is. And it was I was talking to it was a while ago. I was having dinner with Graham Linehan, and I made a comment where I went, "Oh, I can't wait for all this trans stuff to go away." And he said something really foreboding, but like really, really fucking correct. He says the trans stuff will never go away, and he went because the parents who have done that to their children need to believe that they were right. Everything they put
mm.
their kid through, like the surgeries, the hormone replacement, the horrible shit, the counseling, all that stuff, they have to
Well,
believe
the
that they were
kid
right. Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
That kid's gonna grow up. He's he or she is bought in now. You know,
yeah,
completely. It's like they've got to follow through because it's like you can't unlop your cock off, can you?
yeah,
So you
exactly,
are.
exactly.
It's
So
like
so
you're
many
now
of them are
lifelong
detransing.
trans activist.
So many of them, well, a lot of them are detransitioning. They're detransing, and basically they're wanting to like sue the doctors and everybody that did it to them.
Hmm.
Like, and they're very, very correctly saying, "I was 13. Why the fuck did you let me do that shit?"
Yeah.
And everyone, and
Yeah.
basically, we're going to hear about it forever because what Graham says is he says because to do the opposite would mean that they would have to face up to what they did to their child, someone that they
Yeah.
were supposed to protect, and
Yeah,
that
and the
kind of
state
made me
as
go,
well. The
fucking hell,
state
yeah,
allowing it and encouraging it, and just like with the grooming gangs, like they can't own up to anything because
yeah.
the state has to be perfect. You
The
know,
one,
if they're wrong about this, then what else could they be wrong about? And I mean, something as severe as transing your kids, it's like, yeah, there'd never be enough restitution for that
yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly.
You know.
I think it's just mass experimentation on children. That's what it is.
Mm,
It's basically just like dismembering and cutting parts off of them and giving them experimental drugs and stuff like that. It's one of
yeah,
those things where
because some
I believe in about
some
20 years.
psychologists have said it's
Yeah,
like this is the answer, you know, and then you have like charities like Mermaids or something like that. That's like,
yeah,
well, the reason trans people are killing themselves so often is because we're not transitioning them early enough, and it's like, I mean, you're just digging yourself in deeper here, guys. This,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, when this swings back the other way, it's like there's going to be examples made. Yeah.
Never mind getting a little, episode on Dispatches or BBC Panorama
Mm,
20 years from now. You're going to be in a fucking cell, like for the shit
hmm.
that you did. Like, yeah. But it's like the thing that I've always pointed out, right? And this is one thing that has massively concerned me is like how you said, drag queen story hour. They're not
Mm,
going to old folks' homes or hospitals or any places with adults to read to them or do a show for them. It's
yeah.
specifically children. And basically, the fact is, oh, yeah, a 9-year-old can like totally consent to having her tits chopped off or having his dick lopped off or having all these other things, even though it's of a sexual nature, it's their sex, their
Hmm.
gender. Right. And they're saying, oh, they can totally consent to that. And it's making me think, oh, wow, I wonder what else they could consent to at that age.
Yeah.
It's basically
Yeah.
like I understand, like obviously a degree of bodily autonomy is fine for a child, and when I say that, I mean maybe dyeing their hair or getting their ears pierced, like
Yeah.
maybe that. But
Essentially, non-permanent things.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
things you can just reverse. Like you wouldn't let you like the question that I love people positing to them is, oh yeah, a 12-year-old can totally consent to that, and then they go, would you let a 12-year-old get a tattoo? No, exactly, because it's permanent and it
Well,
might not be what they fucking want. Like, yeah. But see, one thing that get pointed out, and there's a lot of people forget the reason that Jordan B. Peterson like first became very, very famous, and it was because there was another professor that he was working with who was basically doing a study onto children who were transing or their parents wanted to trans them or they felt confused about their own gender. And basically, what he discovered is see, if you don't encourage it, you give them all the information and you just leave it the fuck alone. It was something like in 98% of cases, it just turned out that they were gay.
right.
That was it. That was the confusion where they were going, "Oh, I'm a guy, but I like other guys, so I must be a woman then." And they would start acting like a woman and everything. But then as they get older, they get smarter, the brain develops. They're like, "Ah, no, okay, I'm just gay." So it was something like
Mm,
96, 98% of cases, and basically they shut down that guy's research. They were like, "No, that's bigoted. That's this and that and blah 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 and everything." And Jordan Peterson came up and stuck up for him and spoke out in favor of the guy. And then he was like, I'm not using these pronouns things. And then that's when they came after him. And that's how he ended up
yeah.
getting
Yeah.
famous. So the majority of the time, it's like, is little Billy playing with Barbies? Get the scissors. Like, it's just like, how about you just leave them the fuck alone? But it's weird that they're like,
Yeah.
no, do it early. do it really,
Yeah.
really, really early and
Yeah.
everything, and then you
It's
get
'cause
them. Yeah,
yeah, they need them committed, and it's like this is the time where it's easiest to get them to buy in, and then once we've got them there, it's boom, that's like a lifetime membership,
yeah.
to the trans club.
Kids do what adults tell them. And if you've
Hmm.
got especially an official person like a doctor telling you should do this, you're going to go like, yeah, especially if you've got your lefty libtard parents going, hell yeah, oh, this is going to get us so much clout at the country club.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
fucking coming in there with a trans child like it's some rare breed of dog or a new handbag
yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that. And it's like I'm gonna fuck up my child for life so that I can get social clout. It's disgusting. It's
All the other
completely
parents like,
disgusting.
God, I wish I could fuck up my child that bad. Oh God,
Yeah, I know.
It's-
You come in with a black one, oh, shiny, like that.
yeah.
You're one of those rare ones. Fucking hell. But it's honestly just it's fucking terrible, this stuff. And the thing is, that's another thing. Like, that was a sacred cow for a while that you couldn't talk about, you couldn't confront.
Mm.
But even that's came out. Even I've just filmed the video just today about how trans athletes are now banned from the Olympics.
Yeah,
They're now banned
I think
from
I
it.
remember
Like,
hearing that.
there has been
Yeah, I
like a
mean,
massive shift. Yeah.
my daughter goes to Rainbows, and it's like they've just announced that it's like, come September, the trans ones have to go back with their respective actual genders. We're not doing this anymore. We're giving you a few months, notice, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think it's a good thing, because I do think it's just fucking kids up. It's just fucking them up.
Mm.
And there's so many ones that you see now who are now in their early late 20s who are now like anti-trans and advocates, where they're basically saying like, my body's been completely destroyed, my genitalia is destroyed. I don't feel orgasms anymore. I have like 50 million different mental health problems
yeah.
because of this
Yeah, all
stuff.
those stories
Yeah.
were coming out about like the neo vaginas leaking into their colons and all this
Oh
kind
yeah.
of mad like hairballs and everything. It's like, that's not what you're telling that 9-year-old.
Yeah.
You're telling them
Exactly.
it's going to be great. It's going to be great. You're going to be fully realized, and it's like, no, you're going to be dilating for the next 50 years until you
Yeah.
kill yourself.
Yeah, it's a horrendous thing to go through. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I feel bad for the kids because they're just doing what they're told by adults.
Mm.
But see, once you, we went a big tangent there, but it was a good one. But no, that's fine. But see, after you got out of prison, were you on license for a little while?
Yeah. I spent 14 months on license. I was handled by the National Security Division, which because I'm so dangerous.
Yeah.
And I was given my probation officer and prevent agent, and then also weekly meetings with counterterrorism, and they'd check my phone and make sure. I mean, I had a little chocolate bar phone for the first 7 months or whatever, until eventually, because of work, I was like, I need to use WhatsApp, and they're like, all right, we'll let you use the internet, but it's we will be checking your phone for absolutely everything. But the probation officer was just the absolute worst. He was the archetypal kind of boomer shitlib, but he had no conviction of his own, and it's like anything he argued with you over, it would contradict everything you said, and then any argument he had, he would be willing to toss aside and like move to the next thing immediately, and it just from the get-go, like I think his first email to me says like, the difference between you and me is I love multiculturalism and I don't believe anyone has a right to a homeland because of some accident of birth. And I was like, right, okay, I've got a feel for who you are now.
Scumbag, total scumbag.
Just absolute scumbag.
Totally fine for little girls to be raped up and down the country if it means you get tweet about it and look like a good person. Yeah, I can see. Like that,
and it's like you talk about the grooming gangs thing.
Yeah.
You do the old kind of like, well, majority of crimes are by white male, and it's like, okay, but this is a very specific type of crime, and it's enormously disproportionately these Pakistani guys and everything, and then it'd be kind of like, it's like, yeah, but I mean, it's a very complex issue, and it's like, all right, so we just don't deal with it then, do we?
In other words, I was wrong. I just don't want to admit it. Like, we've argued with many a leftist in our day. Like, we know what they do. But
I really was expecting a higher caliber, from like agents of the state. I was expecting there's going to be, here's the cream of the crop, stuff I've never heard before that would, if I had hair, blow it back. And but there was nothing, and same with the prevent guy. I mean, he basically just nodded along and agreed, because I'm talking demographic data. It's like, how do you contest that? And And then I asked him, I was like, you're the intervention guy. You're supposed to be intervening. It's like, can you bring your best material? And he just said, it's like, I'm not going to bring it because I don't think there's anything to intervene in regards to your views. And him and probation would have it out quite often because probation was looking for the extremist diagnosis, and the prevent guy was going, it's like, no, I deal with actual pipe bombers. This guy isn't one of them. So it's like,
Snickers. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And same with the counterterrorism guys. They were just kind of like going through the motions because it was kind of like, I imagine you've probably got some real kind of bad actors on your roster, but here's this guy who's just spending all day with his kids basically while he's out on license and can't do shit.
They say when I was during my trial, they brought in, I felt so bad for this fucking guy. They brought in a cybersecurity specialist, and this was basically the guy like he went through my computers, he went through like all my online like life, every account, absolutely everything, right? And it was funny because they brought him in and they got him to explain to the court what a meme was. And the thing that was really annoying was he got it wrong. He got it wrong, and I did almost put my hand up, but I didn't. Thought better of don't correct and annoy the witness who's testifying against you. But afterwards, I was in the toilet and like I was having a piss, and he came up to the urinal next to me, and I went, "When you signed up, is this what you thought you'd be doing?" And he went, no, it's fucking not. And he like laughed and walked away. Well, man, the thing that was a shame was they wanted to set up the computer to play the video to the court, and they got him to do it. The judge was like, you know computers. You go and set it. I was like, he's a fucking cybersecurity fucking specialist. Like, you've got him setting up the screen. Like, do you know how to plug in the HDMI? Like, all that time at university really paid off, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like, God damn it.
Fucking hell, but you're totally free now, though. No parole, no counter-terrorism breathing down. Well, at least
no, nothing.
Nothing at all.
Yeah. There is a drone hovering outside my window, but I presume that's just a coincidence.
Yeah. Well.
But, yeah, it's completely free, and they knew by the end of it that nothing had changed, and that I'd be going straight back to it. I mean, I'm married to the deputy leader of Patriotic Alternative, and so, I mean, they had to provide, one of my rules was like absolutely no contact with any PA people and no political gatherings or anything like that. And it's like, I'm literally married to one of the most prominent ones. So I was fully aware of everything that was going on during my time away. But yeah, it's like, as soon as I got free, I was just like, fantastic. But then the changing landscape has I've just been completely staggered by it, people like Steve Laws, when I went away, relatively minor figures, obviously covered the Dover landings and all this kind of thing, and then boom, he's now 100 and something thousand on Twitter, and presume historian and Restore Britain. They launched, I think, like 2 days before I got out, and that was one of the first things I did was like buying a membership to that. But I'd seen some of the stuff Lowe was putting out. And then for him to actually make a vehicle, I was like, oh my God, this could turn around potentially. So it's
Reform very quickly became Tory 2.0. And
that was crazy how fast that happened, really.
That's the thing is there was a lot of people like I realized like we're on the hard right where basically I'm a libertarian, but I'm a Hoppian libertarian, which is libertarian but racist. Right, but so like there was nowhere for us to go when it's sort of like, okay, we've got Labour and Tory who at this point are just indistinguishable. They're indistinguishable, right? And then Reform, okay, it's Nigel Farage and he's very, very optics cocked and he's completely in it for himself. Maybe that could be a possible alternative. And then very quickly he started filling the party with the exact same Tories who were causing the migrant crisis in the first place.
And then up there going like, we promise we won't do it again. It's like, pretty sure you promised that like 3 or 4 times already.
We've promised it for 17 years at this fucking point. It's one impeded. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's crazy that he thought it would work. I feel like everyone's seen through it, but then you do see the kind of diehard like reformies or whatever who are just still going strong, like, nah, Farage is our guy, and it's like, come on, dude, what are we doing here?
I've worked for the guy. He's not He's not. See if a
Mm.
really amazing major thing could be achieved and he wouldn't get the credit for it, he wouldn't allow it to go ahead. 'Cause he has to be the prettiest girl at the ball. That's why when
Yeah.
Rupert Lowe was getting so much clout and reform, he had a shit fit because he was obviously having flashbacks to Gerard Batten and, like,
Yeah.
freaking out and
Yeah,
everything, which
Batten, God.
yeah, which I'm glad that he kicked Rupert Lowe out because now Rupert Lowe he's got the shackles off and he's free to I loved his tweet where he says, "I had some" what was it he said? It was something like, "I had some smelly, unwashed leftists screaming at me, saying that I was going to deport thousands and thousands of people. I would like to make this absolutely clear. I am going to deport way more than that."
Yeah, he loves those tweets. Fantastic. He loves doing the yes and like amplifying it. Brilliant. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
yes, come on. I've been looking for an MP like this, like sort of just someone to not bend the knee immediately and cook out at
Yeah.
the slightest pushback. It's like what comes next is gonna be pushed back on really hard. So it's like you need someone like that to just say like the I don't care kind of meme thing that he's been doing.
Yeah.
Millions must go. It's like amazing, fantastic. Finally.
Yeah, I'm seeing that the Overton window's massively shifting. You're getting like remigration like openly discussed just across the board now. The only thing that's really shitting the bed and is trying to throw a stick, throw a span on the works is the institutions and the government. They're panicking because I
Mm.
think they've overplayed their hand, and I think they know that their time is drastically running short. Like
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
running short. There has been a huge shift to the right. There's going to be like the very, very soft right, where I do think next election we're going to get a lot of reform seats, but I would like to see a few restore in
Oh
there.
God, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and demographic wise, it's really this 2029 election is our last kind of roll of the dice. After that,
yeah,
we're looking at an electorate that just purely numbers wise, we won't be able to win via democratic means.
yeah,
So if things don't start to turn around by 2029, then we are kind of cooked.
yeah,
So it's really important over these next kind of 3 years that it's pushed really hard, and we do, whether it's reform gets in, but there's a major kind of group to the right of them dragging them further and not letting them cook out,
yeah,
or whether it's restore. But yeah, something's got to change.
yeah.
For
And I
sure.
think it's going to you. So you're now unshackled yourself, and you're just straight back into the activism. No ifs, no buts, no nothing holding you back. You're just straight
No,
back
no,
at
not
it.
at all. Yeah, yeah, straight back to it. Like I said, I was speaking at the Nuneaton demo. I think
Yeah.
there was a migrant who got sentenced 15 years for raping a 12-year-old.
Oh, you
And
actually
filming
got
it.
prison time. Fucking hell, that's unusual.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not actually. Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, maybe they're learning.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean that kind of trend that we've been seeing, and I mean the kind of asylum seeker to rapist pipeline of. I mean, this guy was 4 months in the
You
country
mean 5
before
minutes?
he. Yeah, it's like, it's like yeah. If anything, he was restrained.
Yeah.
But it's this kind of stuff, and it's happening more and more, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's like what a time to kind of jump back into it. I'm just trying to get my feet under me at the moment because it feels like I'm at the bottom of the hill and everyone's at the top, and I'm trying to race to catch up. And it's like, where are we? It's like, oh right, we're saying that. Okay, cool. Let's
Oh, we're
let's
being
brave new
honest
world.
now. We're being honest now.
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah, yeah. And what we see is like with these speech laws, it's basically it's like they're enforced where the government thinks they can get away with it.
Yeah.
So what's being said now would have been prosecuted, a few years back, but
Yeah.
now it's not because they know that if they were to do so, well, basically every time they do it, they lose a bit of legitimacy, and I mean they're already critically thin on that kind of thing at the moment. So losing it any further could be terminal, and hopefully it is.
Yeah. No, I definitely see the times changing. But Sam, I really appreciate you having a chat with me. I'm hoping my video helps you become far too much of a face where you have the same effect as me, where you can do the same shit you were always doing and get away with it because they're too scared to go after you now.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hoping happens for this chat. But thanks very much for doing this for me, man. Is there any closing words that you would like to close with?
I'd like to promote my book if that's all right. I wrote a
Yeah,
diary
absolutely.
while I was away, and you can see it behind me there, that way. Legal, truthful, guilty, with one of my 100-handed stickers on the cover there. But it's a diary of political prisoner, so my time inside, and then the second half of it is a lot of my dealings with prevent and probation and the kind of arguments that the state brings up against us, which spoiler, but they're not great. But it's selling really well and people are loving it, so I'm really pleased with that. But it's kind of like a final two fingers up at the state that sort of silenced me is to actually become a published author. So yeah, and get out and join us. Remigration Now, Patriotic Alternative, British Democrat, like there's part restore. Get involved. Now's the time. Oh my god.
No, definitely now's the time. Right, thanks very much for coming on, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody just subscribe.